Hey guys, how's it going? It's Philip with Trade Genius. So we've had a lot of crypto blood in the streets overnight, and I thought what I would do is kind of go over, basically run through the top 25 cryptos in market cap. Just run through them, and you can see how they are faring. Big picture, we have had a pretty big run up since December, so pullbacks of this size and magnitude are not unheard of. 30-40% or more on altcoins, that just happens. Bottom line is, this is I view this as a normal correction, and also opportunities to load up on some coins that maybe may have ran away from you, and now's an opportunity to get back in them. So anyway, let's run through some charts real quick. Run through the top 25 cryptos, and we'll just kind of real briefly kind of look at the big picture and maybe some technical bounce areas for you guys. So real quick, let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin continues to be in this channel that I have up. This is kind of like what we would call a bull flag. So the way that works would be at some point this breaks up to the upside and continues. So basically this would be like the A move, this is the B move, and then the C move. But in reality, we are probably looking at a downside target of 10,000 if this bull fib zone doesn't hold. Now we took out this we actually tagged this fib extension over here, so that is done. And then we'll see what kind of bounce we get, and then we'll redraw some fibs and we'll go over that. Okay, so then now let's take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum, we kind of said, we had some divergences going on here, and prices making a new high. So now what we want to see is how far does this come down? We did have a bounce at 1,000, which is logical. Those round numbers tend to bounce. And so what I would be looking for is to see if it runs up to this level here around 1200. That's going to get back into a bear fib zone, and then this settles down around 900. That'd be a great spot to get long because you've got some volume support here, and you also have some prior high near there. So that's Ethereum. Ripple, the banker coin. Ripple, honestly, we're looking at probably 8,000 or just above it, between 8,000 and 9,000 in this area here, because just because there's a little bit of a volume void here, and so typically price can move through that pretty quickly, and then you start picking up where prices had a lot of volume in the past. So that's kind of where I think that's going to be headed to. I wouldn't be rushing into that here. Also, it's violating this bull fib zone here, so really what we'd probably also want to see is the overall. So Ripple breaks down through here, then you're probably looking at anywhere from 8s to down to the 6 level, 6,000. All right, Bcash. Bcash is really kind of just consolidating, to be honest. Did pull back like everything else, but you're basically starting to get into a consolidating pennant here. So kind of like so. So that's if that breaks down, then probably what you're looking at is this downside fib target of 0.11, that area. If that breaks up, you'd be looking at a fib extension of 0.30. I think this thing will gyrate through the year, so, but it's kind of hard because it seems to be, the moves are coordinated, so it's a tough one to time sometimes. ADA, ADA is pretty good, holding this trend line. A lot of things have rolled over a lot harder than this. As you can see, this list here is pretty red. But 88 looks pretty healthy here. Actually, this would be a spot to go long. Litecoin is breaking down, and this actually was an old trajectory for when we look at parabolic moves. But anyway, that's kind of been broken, so that can go away. And we had this is the old top of the trend line here, so it could be headed toward that, which is about $1.80. But if I look at the volume profile, that there is some support there, so we could be headed there and take a break there. But until then, we've got this trend line now that we have to battle to the upside. So the other alternative would be this trend line here, kind of getting toward that $100 mark. And there would be a lot of support there for that. But that would probably be worst case extreme scenario. I don't know that would get there unless the selling really intensified over the next 24 to 48 hours. So bottom line here, guys, would be looking at that fib zone, which is it's right in. There you go. So to me, we're probably going to bounce in here. Would be a likely scenario. All right, XEM or NEM, as it's sometimes referred to. Daily wise, we've kind of broken down. We did tag this bear fib zone extension here. Ran into this longer term trend line that kind of went through there and bounced off of that nicely. So, and there is quite a bit of volume support in this area. So I would be prone to say that this level here of about 73.85, pretty decent support in there, and obviously it bounced right off of that. So probably more upside definitely on this one here. Let's draw this here. There's your fib zone. So this goes bye-bye, and that's done. Actually, you would draw a new one. So typically we'd see a price move up into this area, which would then bring this into play. But if this move is over in the next 24 to 48 hours, that's probably it for that bounce. Okay, so big picture, nothing really critical. We actually pulled back into this larger fib buy zone and bounced nicely off of that. So anywhere in this area here, I think is decent. So pretty healthy. Nothing. I wouldn't be really concerned about anything that we just saw here, price wise. These are all normal corrections. Neo's been really strong. If you remember the video we did a couple weeks ago about it, just rocketed from there, and so it's due for a pullback for sure. But right now it's not really giving up the goose. It's one of the few that's actually performing pretty well right now. So pullback. This was a long-term trend line which we were actually gunning for from the underside. It hit it, pulled back a bit, and then it went right through it. So pullback to it would be kind of the spot that I'd be looking to get long again. But Neo's really strong. We do have a double top here, so that would be the first area to look at, and then this other trend line would be the next area. XLM lumens, basically consolidating here, guys. So you have this kind of a consolidating pattern, kind of like so. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on these because we're going to just try and run through them. But basically we're looking at kind of like the big ranges from when we bottomed out to now. So on the daily, this is looking like, even though it's consolidating, you want to keep in mind the ranges. So it's kind of sandwiched between, which makes sense for it to consolidate. But considering the sell-off that we've just had, this is faring pretty well. So lumens, if it breaks out of this, then you're looking at possible downside of 23.58. Otherwise, you're looking at a larger move. And if it did get down into this area, I would get long. And because you're looking at this level up here at 77.54. IOTA, major consolidator there. Not a lot of data on this one for the exchange, but if this were to break down, then you would do this range here, and you'd be looking at this 1,000, or I'm sorry, 10,000 level. And if otherwise, if you're looking for the upside, we could go to the very low and go long, and you'd be looking at 58,525. So pretty wide range there. But I think IOTA can, as the year progresses, move up into that area. So actually, for this what's happening here, IOTA's holding up pretty well. So not too bad. EOS has been a high flyer. It's taken out these previous fib targets quite nicely. We're pulling back like everything else, pretty sharp pullback, and that first fib zone there looks pretty decent. As far as volume goes, we really have support in this area here, which kind of coincides with the previous area here. So if I was really looking like value shopping, then I'd want to see this 74,000 area. That'd be pretty enticing to pick some up there. So that's EOS. Dash is a crazy chart. It's just all over the place. So with Dash, I would you kind of just say, okay, well, here's the upper range, here's the lower range, and so you're kind of looking at, like, if you want to pick up some Dash somewhere in this area, this 0.05 area, pretty much it. It's kind of a wild chart. Okay, let's look at Monero. Monero, I think, along with other privacy coins, will have a decent year. And boy, look at that. Not really much reaction from today's Carnage. I would be a buyer on this trend line. Tron left a lot of bag holders in the dust. You would probably look at this trend line, which it's tagged as an area to buy, and it's already bounced off of that. So if that gives way, then you're probably looking at this area down here back to probably the 300 area if that doesn't hold. But man, that was a pump and dump. Usually when you get a move like this, guys, that's a classic, what we call Eiffel Tower, up and down. There's really no buy support. Just rip through and then lost momentum, and then the stop losses trigger, and then there's just no buyers, and now everybody's just stop loss. So and at that point, you're starting. You basically look at where you're going to go back down for support. So that would be anywhere from 300 to 400 satoshis. So that party is over with Tron for the time being. BTG, BitGold, haven't really covered this too much. Again, you kind of just look into range. So you have kind of like, this is the upper range, this is the lower range, and you kind of, that's where you'd buy or sell until it broke out of that. So here it's pulled back, and that's how I would play that. Not really looking for any fib buy zones on this particular price action. ETH Classic, if we zoom out on ETH Classic, basically it's run into some resistance here, it's pulling back. So on this here, I would actually look for a buy right in this, look at that, right where that volume ledge is. So it's tagged it and bounced. So I'd look for that to hold. So it's a decent buy there. QTUM, somebody asked about this the other day. And basically, at this point, we'd be looking for a pullback into this area here, 0.0027. Let's be looking there. So far, guys, we're not seeing anything really super critical. This is just normal pullback stuff after a nice run up. Okay, so you got to keep these things into perspective. ICX icon. Again, this is just going by, there's a lot of data there. Let's go to a 4-hour chart. There's not a lot. I mean, we're just going by market cap on these. Okay, so we have a bit of a volume void here, so price could swish through that, but we do have a nice support here on price. So I would be looking in this area, so somewhere between 5,000 and 5,500. Another push down, that'd be a decent spot to pick up icon or ICX. Lisk, we did a video about that a few weeks ago. Went basically up from that point, and we took out, actually completed a fib target up here. So going forward, I think it's held up really well. This is a 4-hour chart. Let's go to a daily. We got more data on this one. So, you know, again, it's held up well. So we'd be looking at, you know, this is an area that basically you'd want to pick it up. There's good volume forming here for support. So anything in this area here, 18.0018, that's probably a decent spot to grab some. ARDR, ARDR, again, it's consolidating. So you can see some of these have held up pretty well in the top 25. And so basically we'd be looking at in this zone where it's already hit. And so we're also going to look at the short stuff, the short zone there. So that's just a consolidation there. I would expect this to hold. The volume here is pretty good. There's really a chunk of volume at this level here at 6,000. But you know, looking at ARDR, it's pretty strong. I'm hesitant to say that it's going to go down to that point. That would complete that fib target down to 6,300, but I think that if you zoom out, you look at the entire volume action through that price range, I think there's decent support to hold this here. So any dip down into this level here of down to 9,000, let's say, that's probably a pretty safe bet for ARDR. OMG, I like it to this. If we can get back to this trend line, that's good. Zcash, again, another trend line play. So if we saw something like a return back to that, I'd look for a bounce there. I think Zcash looks pretty good for bounce on that. Stratus, again, you know, these are holding up really pretty well for the Carnage. So if you can get anything on a pullback to trend line like that, I would say that's pretty good. BNB, the Binance token for the Binance exchange, basically had a flash crash just now, and I think that Binance, sometimes you'll see that there's actually a flash crash on Neo, and I don't know if it's people with fat fingers or not used to that exchange or what, but I think that is that's done. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this just turned around and moved higher, to be quite honest. Verge was consolidating, has broken out of the consolidation. So when that typically happens, you have to look at what the downside target is. So, and to do that, we're going to take basically from the most recent high to the low. And that fib target puts us at about just under 500. And you do start getting into a little bit of some volume support there. Really no volume in here at all. Kind of just blew through that area. So in this zone, I could see it drop there, but I would definitely be a buyer of Verge around 500 or so for a bounce. That's pretty much it. That's the top 25, guys. So just kind of wanted to run that by you. I think you saw some coins with a fairly good sized pullback, other coins consolidating really, but it is red out there. Make no mistake. And Bitcoin has pulled back quite a bit. So I think Bitcoin catches a cold. So does the rest of the markets. We'll be looking for this level, this fib zone to hold, but we could. I don't think it's totally out of the question. 10,000 is nearing, so people might be looking at that. It might become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because those big round numbers tend to can suck price to it, but then usually you get a pretty good bounce off of that. So we'll see how that goes in the next 24 hours, and we'll do another review on the next video. All right, guys, this one was kind of long, but I thought I'd run through everything just to kind of give you a big picture on all the different alts. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe. It helps. Thanks. Bye.